Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another scene set in Odessa: The Dark Crusade, Season 2. On this dark and drab evening, we set our scene at an undisclosed location where representatives of various clans are to meet, discuss the terms of a new relationship, the details of which are to be hammered out here. And I completely fucked up that intro, so have fun.
Thanks.
You may all meet at an undisclosed location to discuss the terms of your new relationship, if there even is to be one.
Yes. So, at this undisclosed location, there is probably a table, I assume, and some chairs, and a bunch of assholes sitting around said table and chairs looking at each other awkwardly.
It's all fairly cut and dry. It's a very plain building, meant to not be very revealing or stand out in any way. It's not particularly large. It's not comprised of many rooms. This is really the only room of significance, and it's not even particularly large. It's a fairly small living space with a table, a bunch of chairs, and that's really about it. There are a few torch sconces which pass for lighting, and that's about it. It's a very, very plain room and building.
And don't forget nondescript.
Highly nondescript.
So about these assholes sitting around the table, there is Gerard of Tours in all of his majestic armored glory, sitting there glowing like the pillar of the community that he is. And then a bunch of people that are silent.
Yep, the Merchant of Bones is here, sitting at the table in his frail-looking skeleton-esque glory. He kind of just looks at all those who've came and just making sure everybody else is here, especially Garnet and Ali Abahwa. I said that right.
Garnet is there, yeah, sitting down very calmly, very politely. He's dressed in simple clothes, very simple plain clothes. You obviously can tell that he's using this to move around quickly in the back alley streets and stuff like that. But he sits there watching everybody with a bit of a smirk on his face, but he seems quite, here and amenable and ready to negotiate.
The Primogen Ali Abahwa is with his standard attire, the very heavy kind of desert robes, but underneath it is the armor that he wears. He is just kind of looking over everybody as he waits for the meeting to start.
I would like to say that the Merchant of Bones is actually not in his typical plague bearer gear. He is actually exposed, so to speak. You actually see, his face, which would usually say some of the people that actually met him before. This must mean that he's trying to have a certain air of openness about him. He definitely conveys body language that is, basically ready to talk and do some business. So, once everybody is here,
everyone is not here, unfortunately. Gerard is impassive, stoic as ever, always on the edge of immediate action. But we are currently just buying time for Aldrich the Wise to show up. Apparently, he is late and has been indisposed getting here. Speak of the devil, and he shall appear.
Is that so?
You're late.
Apologize, there was a matter, an urgent one, seeking my attention.
Understandable. Please, sit.
Eldrick finds himself a seat.
In this nondescript location.
Well then, gentlemen, I want to say, for one, thank you for coming on this evening to discuss matters going forward, especially important ones involving our clans. And especially thank you to the Nos and the Malkavians for coming. Really glad that you were able to come, because you guys seem to have quite the impact these past nights, at least as long as I've been here. So I thought it'd be worth including you as on this talk.
Garner just smile and incline his head, not saying anything, but seems quite happy.
Ali is, as a warlord often does, is just kind of squinting. Very much squinting. You're not sure if he's willing, if he's going to listen, or if he's going to just take his sword and try and fucking kill somebody. He's like that.
Rude. Okay. Yeah, and so basically, he says that, and so what I'd like to put forth for our clans, at least, is an alliance, a new treaty, perhaps. I understand that there was some previous one instated with the triumvirate between my clan, the La Sombra, and the Bruja. But since Benedictus has now been laid to rest, these things don't matter much anymore, and I believe we should forge another one.
The city is sure to descend into violence once again as far as Canaanites go. So old alliances don't matter much. I wouldn't exactly call this as the same sort of arrangement as before. This is more an alliance to challenge for the princedom, as there will be no doubt challenges coming from clans that are not represented here, who will be well backed.
This is true. I know, for one, my clan has not been the best in keeping relations with other clans, and, well, it is time we fix that. And I hope to start.
Go ahead.
And nothing. He was just going to say, I hope to start here with those present.
It is no secret that the Ventrue and the La Sombra are rivals politically. I do expect them to have a card up their sleeve. I would like to think that none of us here are especially fond of them. especially considering the Nosferatu have lost their only domain in the region.
Yes, very displeased by that action. It is as if they are jealous of Nosferatu control. I wonder why.
Considering the gains that the Nosferatu had only 100 years before, such as the Princedom of Jerusalem, it would make you a target to eliminate so you do not regain that former power.
That is probably the best bet. However, they made a very fatal mistake. They didn't kill all the Nosferatu. That's the only way you can actually keep anything, if you destroy the clan completely.
And that is why you are here. We're pleased to have you.
Indeed. I can say as well, I don't know if much of my clan knows yet, but the Sombra have taken the opportunity to abscond with much of our clan secrets and lore when the prince was attacked and killed. That was the nail in the coffin for me.
And pray tell, what are the Malkavians thinking on this matter?
Kind of lean back. We Malkavians have always been neutral. Since even this first treaty was signed, we have remained a bastion of neutrality. However, those in Clan Asambur have pushed that neutrality to make a decision among the clan, and that decision is against them and their interest, for they have, in their arrogance, underestimated us, chastised us, and pushed us to the point where, well, there's only so much we can handle, and so much a fragile mind such as ourselves can endure before we have to push back. So, Clan Malkavian stands to watch Clan Asombra's interest be taken away from them.
I can understand and sympathize with that point of view, but it must be known that this potential alliance, we're all, despite all pretenses, we are all equal partners in this. The Tremere, the Malkavians, the Nosferatu, the Ventrue, the Cappadocians, we must all put the same amount of effort if we are to overthrow our enemies and secure a future for this city. How say the Tremere?
Indeed. The city has fallen to such levels of disarray and chaos, and in the nights to come, it is more important now than ever for the sake of the city.
The Cappadocians will be, at least, I'll try to marshal them to get their heads and hands out of the dead and back into the living some. We have tarried for too long, and our isolation almost had us wiped out, or could have been wiped out. And I will not suffer that again. We
Very
will
well.
match the efforts.
So, the groundwork is set. Now it is simply a matter of what each of us wishes to lay out before those gathered here. Issues, possible hang-ups, demands, whatever the case may be.
I believe the Cappadocians would like to keep the Prophet's quarters if one of us were to claim Praxis.
One of our clans will undoubtedly, one among us, need to claim Praxis.
And to be honest with you, I think if any clan was to do so, I think the best bet would probably be the Ventrue.
Garnet will agree with that. Just nod his head.
As will Aldrich.
Markavians wish to remain with the slums. We have invested interests there and vested ties, which we can conduct many of our businesses as well as many of our operations. If the Ventrue take Praxis, we would like to remain that domain be ours.
And the Nosferatu?
The Nosferatu is fine with the domain of the catacombs and sewers. We have no real need of expansion land-wise. Rather, I would rather seek a far better option. I wish to reclaim what was taken from the Nosferatu with reasonable assistance, resources, men, if ever so little. Anything that can be done to reclaim what was ours, then I would be perfectly content with.
That is a good point that our Nosferatu friend brings up. This is not simply a matter of the city. There is a greater game in motion. As the largest city in this region, Odessa does hold a great amount of sway in mortal affairs and in Cainite affairs. Our enemy does not only seek power here, but elsewhere, as the Nosferatu can attest to. Our influences may need to extend beyond the borders of this city. The Cappadocians have a great number of other domains in the area, as do the Ventrue. The La Sombra and the Assamites as well. One thing that the Ventrue have always been interested in is perhaps taking a domain from one of our enemies and presenting it to our friends in the Tremere. But this is not the only thing that we can do in the region, should it come to that.
Yes, well, um, I would like to maybe keep options open, at least for my clan for now, as I assess and determine what exactly is the nature of the Cappadocian influences in the other areas around Odessa and beyond. And should we find that we need to take action or we want to do something, as long as it's not ostentatious, we will bring it to the table at that time.
We have a large amount of influence in the small folk, in particular. Although some of us are pushing to push the Malkavian interests into the noble court, we would have to discuss the matter further amongst ourselves before we brought any substantial offer that would fit with this group, in the interest of fairness, at least.
Understandable. The ones most suited to aid in foreign matters are the Cappadocians and the Ventrue, as we have substantial holdings in the region. If it came to a more open conquest situation, then we will discuss it further then. But it is known that the Nosferatu wish to reclaim their lost domain, and that will be a goal moving forward.
The main interest should be probably to secure Odessa itself before we expand outward. Otherwise, we'll always have the La Sombra picking at our heels the more we push.
All of this is, of course, predicated on the fact that Odessa is claimed, but it's still good to have an eye on the future, so that if we claim the city, we don't descend into infighting.
I agree. I believe the Cappadocians will be on board to help the Nos or any of the other clans help with outside future endeavors, as long as Odessa is secured, obviously.
Same as Clan Malkavian? Not.
As with Clan Tremere.
Everything is predicated on the fact that we are able to claim Odessa. If this doesn't happen, then we will be opposition that might involve a fight for our lives.
And nothing has really changed, has it?
Gerard actually almost cracks a smile at that.
Yes. I understand. Such is the way of life, at least for us anyways. It'll be business as usual. But at least we will have new friends and alliances to rely upon. And to also hold accountable. Speaking upon grievances, Garnet, I have one with the Malkavians.
Raise a surprised eyebrow. Like, okay.
The fledgling, Mina, has been a thorn in our side. The Cappadocians have incurred many losses these past few months, very heavy losses. Mina apparently was involved with the destruction of the tower or the attack on the Cappadocian domain. And she is also taking one of the most prized possessions of the clan.
Huh. Interesting. So that's what she was doing. Well, I can assure you, Merchant of Bones at Clan Malkavian did not give sanction to such an action from her.
This is good to hear. Truth be told, we have the fledgling.
I see.
And I believe we wanted to garner some goodwill with you and the clan for this alliance, and perhaps letting you retrieve her for a price, as she has done such terrible damage to my clan.
Garnet will lean forward and press his palms together, like the tips of his fingers together. I could speak for some of my clan that would probably be interested in taking me in the back. However, myself, a fledgling that refuses to cooperate and a fledgling that does such heinous actions without disregard and insulting other potential friends of ours. Well, for me personally, she's free. You can do with her what you wish. She's nothing of use to me anymore. Why would I waste my time on something that's already too broken to handle? But, claps his hands together, I can't speak for the rest of my clan. I will bring the matter back to them and discuss it. However, for myself, she's yours to do with as you wish. But I will discuss with my Primogen to see would he be interested in taking you up on your offer. But there is plenty of goodwill, Merchant of Bones. Be rest assured. You give him a very genuine, wry smile.
Mm-hmm. Truth be told, I thought that might be the case. As she is a fledgling after all, she is not worth much to the clan. She has no status.
It would be more what's inside her head that we are interested in. I'm sure you've examined it already. And who is inside her head, if you get my meaning?
From what I understand, we both have ideas on who that is.
Perhaps we could do an interrogation together. After all, both of us are quite skilled at touching into things that are not really there.
We'll see. For now, I will not hold her actions against the clan, but I do wish to know as soon as possible what if the clan would like her back.
Make it my first priority to talk to Apollo and see what he says.
I can agree to this.
Kind of nod.
Along these lines, recently, due to events outside the city, a salubri has come under the possession of the Ventrue, and we're not quite sure what to do with him as of yet. We have almost wiped them away from the city. They're slowly succumbing to hunger. My army has been starving them of their hunting grounds. I am under the impression that there is no love lost between some of your clans and the Salubri. But it is a token that exists in our possession if anyone has a better idea with what to do with them.
Such unfortunate circumstances. Oh well. They do have strange powers and abilities that could be made useful if found out.
I could take a look at him and tell you exactly who he is and what he is, but apart from that, kind of spreads his hands.
I have a good idea of who he is. I encountered him breaching the Setite domain on my first nights of returning to an active status within the city. that mystery has still been yet uncovered as to the identity of the individual, but I recognize him.
I could help you. I have poked into several things in terms of this demise character through just gleaming with the right angle and the right look, if you wish.
That's a possibility. It may well be that he is useless, but it is a thing that exists. Have the Tremere any issues?
At current, no. As always, we are grateful for the cooperation and assistance of the Ventrue, and very warmly welcome each and every one of you. Oh, on a personal note, I can't help but to be curious of what will come of Hayot's Bazaar once the La Sombra have been...
It would be quite a thing indeed to be able to entirely uproot a clan from a city. While I would consider the La Sombra an enemy, I'm not certain that eliminating them entirely would be possible. But it is within the power of the prince to change domains, a new prince, a new way of doing things. The Tremere have interest in the La Sombra domain at current.
Nothing tangible, nothing that has been discussed upon, at least in my present company. Merely a fleeting curiosity, I admit.
It would seem that everyone present is happy with the accommodations their clan currently owns. So that matter is not a matter at all.
I believe you're right.
Garrett nods.
Indeed.
Then with that, is there anything else that we need to solidify this with? Perhaps some kind of written
I will
document?
see to drawing up a charter if that makes you feel better. However, it should be noted, while I have the utmost faith that our hosts of this Grand Elysium will not attempt anything unduly damaging to us, I cannot help but be a mite suspicious of a nearby town, nearby domain, taking it upon themselves to settle the issue of Odessa's affairs. We must be cautious.
One must always look in the shadows when walking into a room. It'll be no different there.
Perhaps, but these shadows can move. Play tricks on you.
Well, this will be one hell of a trick with all of us there. I assume not all of us will be going, correct? I only say this to keep an eye on affairs here.
I can remain and keep an eye out.
No, it will be me. Myself and the Prince of Timuron don't quite see eye to eye from the old days. I would rather not tempt fate and damn our position by my presence.
Interesting.
Even if the Ventrue claim praxis, it will not be me who does it. So I will coordinate with my clan. I assume that everyone is on board for the Ventrue claiming such. That way I know what to take back to my clan.
Cappadocians and the Ventrue have a long-standing relationship of working with each other in this capacity. I don't think there will be any fuss from us.
Macavian has no issue.
Likewise with Clan Tremere as Cappadocian. Ventrue have always had a steady hand at the top.
Ali just simply nods his head.
Very well. I will go back to my clan and we will put forward a prince. They will be moving in my place in Timuron. But again, I would like to advise caution. There likely will not be any foul play or anything of that sort, but best not to be caught with your pants down.
Indeed. In this case, a few misspoken words can be just as bad as a dagger in the back.
Perhaps that's the point. If we declare openly in that domain, could be a very, very interesting turn of events.
It will have to happen. That is the point of the Elysium. To settle the dispute of praxis in Edessa.
Then let us make sure that our clans, with the interactions that happened before this decision is decided, is that we at least appear to be open.
There is another issue that has come to my mind. The previous working relationship that our clans, mine and Aldrich's, have had with the Toreador, things have changed. Issues have arisen. Hence why they're not here. But nothing has been publicly done in this regard. Our greatest ally in the clan has gone to Bira. Others have fled with the shame of their actions within the city, their allegiances to infernal powers. The Primogen has yet to be decided, but that clan is weak, susceptible to other influences.
Truth be told, it seems that the Lasombra seem to have a heavy interest in the Toreador.
And the gangrel, from what I hear.
What have you heard?
Madeleine is very much interested in making an alliance with them. At least that's what she brags. She does carry around her little slave with her constantly to remind everybody.
I've seen him, dark-haired, large.
Nods. She seems to be quite interested, from what she told me at least, that gangrel are ones that she would always like to invest in. So, Madeleine's influence would dictate that she is very much interested in pushing for at least some sort of negotiations with the beasts.
Well, worst comes to worst. I know how to rile up the dogs.
I think if you even look at the Madeleine the wrong way, that one would bite anyway. Garnet smirk.
Let him try. As for the Toreador, what have you heard, Merchant of Bones?
I know that Sister Madeline tried to stake Margot in Omar Shadid's shop.
Something she wanted Malkavian help with, I might add.
And upon my first day here, I was also told of the issue with Johanna de Griamis. I murdered that name, sorry. As far as her attachments to the Lasombra as well. Though that is no longer seems to be an issue. I also know that not too long ago I had a talk with Madeline about the Infernalists, or at least the Infernalism here, and we both concluded that the Toreador seemed to be the most exposed or taken by it. How much of an interest they actually have, I don't know, based on that information, but it is there.
Their power within the city is disintegrated. If they were to hang on as an ally, they would most certainly be a liability.
The Toreador in this city, they are even more despised than a caitiff. They practically are. They are insignificant worms. Best to stomp them into the ground flat and be done with such nonsense of their infernalism.
An interesting point. Go on.
He simply shakes his head. He goes, "Despicable wretches, unworthy of even my anger." He kind of just waves his hand as if he's like he's had like a really nasty fart has just happened. He's trying to get away all that bad smell.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the Nosferatu are renowned for their information gathering. Perhaps you could find some leverage against them. We likely cannot get away with destroying them outright, even with no prince in the city. There would be outrage, and that's something that this nascent alliance shouldn't take upon itself so early. Other than the individuals who have been found guilty of infernalism, one of whom I have been told has fled the city. They will be looking to replace Rosalie as Primogen. Perhaps they might fall under other influences, the La Sombra, as the Merchant of Bones says, but perhaps we can even those odds. Wouldn't you say?
That sounds like a incredibly delectable assignment. I am certain I can get someone working on it.
I cannot understate the importance of that assignment. I trust that you will overperform as ever.
I've not met many of the Toreador here, but do we know who would be the next in line who might be Primogen?
Likely an Ancilla. I don't know of any elders left for the Toreador in the city.
There are only 2 other Toreador, aside from the elders, that I know of personally. One was the one who has fled, Johanna. The second is a Lady Marco, if I recall. She was in the sewers when we expunged the plague from my homes. A very resourceful woman, if there was one, but I do not believe she would be politically sound to be a Primogen. But you never know.
They don't have much left. It may be a case of doing the best with what you have.
Indeed, I would say that we would need to put eyes on her at least.
Margot is loud, reckless. She'd be easy to follow and easy to manipulate if you say the right things.
I will go about publicly breaking ties with the Toreador. The rest is up to anyone who thinks they're up for the challenge, particularly the Nosferatu. As ever, they are consummate information gatherers. So, we can assume that the La Sombra have eyes on the Gangrel, as well as the Toreador, from what I've heard. Likely others. The Assamites are renowned enemies, and what remains of the true heirs, as they have long been arrayed against the Ventrue and the Tremere especially, the Tzimisce, the Salubri, the remnants of the Salubri, in even a worse position than the Toreador, if I do say so myself.
The Tzimisce have always been very vocal in their dissatisfaction of the Tremere and the treaty. I am actually quite surprised they have not attempted to simply go all out and destroy anything that they felt was Tremere orientated. Perhaps that says something of their Primogen.
Or perhaps the foundation upon which their alliance stands is shaky.
What of the Bruja?
A definite question mark in all of this, though I have heard of the elder that has been going around, the imam.
The one that's stirring crowds. That was definitely something.
Indeed.
I can try and track him. Particularly among the crowds, he mightn't even recognize who I am. Or see me.
It would be good to know where potential rivals and potential allies lie. The Bruja are a question mark, no doubt, though our clans traditionally do not get along. Perhaps they can find a friend of an enemy in us, and that will be enough. Or perhaps they can be made to stay neutral. Either way, it would behoove us to know what he's up to, as he is the most vocal with the sheriff gone now of their clan.
I'll set to work on it and see what I can find about this man.
Excellent.
For you, Garnet, I will give you a very important word. Carefulness. The Bruja are creatures born with an intense love of their cause. If they think you are willing to compromise it and obstruct them, well, perhaps you will be like a melon that has been thrown against a wall, splattered into many pieces. So exercise your cautions.
Garnet will just smile. I'll make sure that he knows that I am completely neutral, as always, as any good Malkavian usually is. I have no intention of antagonizing a Bruja to the point where, unfortunately, this life of mine will be ended. I'll merely watch and learn of what he's doing first before I even approach.
Excellent. So, with the Bruja taken care of, so to speak, or at least under surveillance, the Gangrel likely pawns of the Lasombra, the Assamites likely allied with the Lasombra against a common enemy in the Ventrue and the Tremere. The Samitsi, an easy pickup for them. We know who is arrayed against us. Perhaps there are others we could look at, the Ravnos being a standout, as I do not believe that the Setites will provide us with anything but vitriol.
And a knife in the back.
That too. The Salubri have been all but destroyed. I will continue to work on that front to make sure that they pose no threat. I know of a healer that is within the area that my army is encamped. Perhaps I will pay him a visit. Any of you are welcome to join, if you wish.
I believe I might take you up on that offer. I would like to see how they operate as far as their mysticism goes.
Indeed.
Not.
Very well. I'll be in contact. For now, I must go to my clan and sort out who we are going to put forward as prince. All of us will be speaking for our clans, and of course, Primogen Ali is well set on that regard. I do not foresee any issues with our clans accepting this alliance.
I believe there is no issue here. Definitely a stride towards future nights.
Make no mistake, whatever it is that we are doing, you must know that if we fail to regain the city and the La Sombra, or a puppet of the La Sombra, are able to take control, enemies of our clans, each one, except possibly the Malkavians, it will be more difficult for us to carry on with our business within the city. Very difficult indeed. There is much at stake in this. We must all be vigilant and do our utmost to ensure that doesn't happen. Or, at the very least, support a neutral party that will not succumb to their influences at the barest of minimums.
I believe that given the discussions that have taken place today, all of us should work very well together in ensuring that this matter is handled with the utmost sensitivity and surgical precision.
I believe our biggest problem, at least with the La Sombra, would be the Seneschal, or who was the Seneschal at the time.
Indeed.
He is the one that basically led the city, despite the Cappadocians sitting on the throne. I'm pretty sure he had much dealings in my previous elders.
Proxy?
Yes, excuse me.
If I could just, if anybody's looking at Ali, could you roll me a perception empathy? Just normal would be nice.
Sure.
It's
okay.
important. It's important. That's why I wanna say that.
Well, that's all I'm laughing about. Powerful.
Oh
Gerard gives no fucks about nobody, nothing. No empathy. Stone cold killer.
Hey!
Everybody just looks at Ali.
Yes. Look at him.
Sure
As you
doesn't, for sure.
as you guys are talking about the Seneschal, the Lasombra Seneschal, you just have Ali just has this biggest. He has the biggest grin. This is the grin of a man who knows that he will get far more out of stuff than people tend to think.
That is quite the smile you have adopted, Ali.
As you say that. Yes. This is actually a very interesting thing that you speak of the Seneschal. He has made some attempts to initiate talks with the Nosferatu to seek the alliance, much like with the Gangrel and others. I just find it very interesting that they are trying to get their dirty little hands everywhere. But I wonder how dirty they will willingly get it at this point in time.
You are an expert on these matters, Primogen. I trust that you will use that situation to your advantage, and thus the advantage of everyone here. Remembering that I consider us all equal here under this alliance, and that the future of the region will be heavily influenced by it. Whatever you're able to achieve will be a boon no matter what.
Do not worry, Gerald, Ventrue and Sila. I have no desire for La Sombra influence with my clan. They overstep themselves too much for my taste. Besides, in the nights to come, it is always better to know the person you are speaking with. Far more easier to trust.
Here, here.
Very well. With that, I will consider this matter done. Have an eye out when you leave. Those of us who cannot hide ourselves. Make sure you're not watched.
Indeed. So, Gerard, I would like to have a moment with you alone.
Very well.
So, as far as the meeting goes, again, I appreciate everybody coming out and putting forth this new effort to protect Medesa's interests.
Should any conflicts arise, issues that need to be broached, bring them forward. We will discuss them. Otherwise, each of us knows what they must do. Remember, there's much at stake. Otherwise, I have nothing else to say.
Garnet will just nod, turn to look at the Merchant of Bones. I'll need to talk to you later on about something that might pique your interest of things I've seen. But we can do that another time.
Sounds good. Don't forget to come to me as soon as possible regarding your fledgling.
Just nod and make sure Apollo knows straight away. You just stand up.
Have a good evening, Garnet, and be healthy.
Just bow to everybody and open the door, and once he turns the corner, vanishes.
I thank you for your indulgence, Permaginelli.
Let us perhaps have a drink when the dust settles and peace is properly installed in your clan's newest princedom.
And then again on the skulls of our enemies in reclaimed territories.
Yes.
I'll bring the skulls.
Gerard will stand and bow to Ali.
And Aldrich nods to the Merchant of Bones and says, I'll bring the wine.
Glad to hear it. Again, Thank you, gentlemen. And he kind of just stands himself, pulls his cane from under the desk or the table, and kind of looks to Gerard a moment, and kind of just stands off to the side.
Yeah, Gerard will wait for everyone to sort of filter out.
Yeah, Aldrich is finger tapping for pretty much the entirety of this meeting. Will finally give his digits some rest. He does the old man hands on the knees push to his feet and very casually makes his exit as inconspicuously as possible.
And thusly, with everyone else gone, Gerard will turn and look at Merchant of Bones.
Merchant of Bones will come and stand close to Gerard and just say, I just wanted to give you a warning. When I last met with Madeline, she had spoken about you regarding some very sinful proclivities.
You don't say.
Yes. I don't know what her goal was. Maybe she was trying to sow some kind of discord or distrust in you as far as I go, and maybe my clan goes. But that kind of talk could definitely be ruinous to one's reputation.
What sort of things was she saying about me?
She has mentioned about you probably having a hand in the demise of one of her clan in the worst way possible. A sin among sins among our kind.
Interesting. There's a lot of history between Madeline and I, and to a lesser extent, some of her cohorts in Clan La Sombra, dating back from when the city was first founded. We didn't get along very well back then. We don't now. It's not unusual. I wouldn't think too hard on it. It's merely a manipulator trying to gain an edge. Any
Indeed.
edge that she can get.
Indeed. I just thought I would bring it to your attention just in case. That's all. Whether it's happened or not, it's none of my business. I don't care. Anyways.
Gerard will not.
I will see you soon. And I have other matters to take care of, especially with this fledgling.
Be careful.
Yeah. Much more so these nights. Be healthy, Gerard. And Merchant of Bones will just leave and head towards his carriage.
And once again, Gerard is left in a room by himself, hands clasped behind his back, thinking about the matters that have gone on, and I think that we can outro.